Ah, yes. Welcome back to another Football Friday. It is week 12 on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. No, it's not Johnny hosting this week. It's me. Yes, me, which means it's going to get all destroyed and it's not going to sound the same as usual. So, guys, are we ready to get into the games and have an exciting week? But before we do that,
boy.
Oh yeah, that's right. Happy Turkey Day. Hot take, I don't like turkey. Yes, we were talking about this before we started. But
we've already lost a significant amount of viewership. Thank you, Mr. Morgasen.
I try. It's my job. But before we get yeah, whatever. It's not the first time I've annoyed people. But before we get into that, this is presented by Wolf Spreads. Are you looking to get involved in the action while rooting for your favorite team? Have you ever had a friendly debate on who can pick more games correctly? There's all this talk about parlays, lines, and overs and unders make your head spin, and you want to learn more about this sports betting hoopla? Gamble with us and check out Wolf Spreads. We're running a sports betting competition completely free on the Wolf Spreads app. Here's how it works. Everybody gets $2,000 fantasy dollars. That's fake money to bet on the NFL games with whoever can profit the most with their 2K bankroll wins. By the way, I think this app has been one of the easiest apps for gambling I've ever seen used. I know it's not real money.
Yeah, it's not real money, but it's definitely a help. I can personally say I've learned a little more about gambling and odds from using this.
Even though you lost all 2,000 last week. If you're not an NFL fan, don't worry. Wolf Spreads has competitions available for the NBA, MLB, NHL, and college football and basketball. Put fantasy dollars on the over, under, the money line, or the spreads, competing for bragging rights with your fellow players like we do in this Football Friday, while having additional fun watching sports and not risking losing your house in the process. Wolf Spreads, sports betting for friends who love the action. All right. So usually I'm in the second seat. I am in the first seat this week. So I have to try and give all the crews and games and everything. So, all right. There is 5 primetime games this week. I didn't stutter. 5 primetime games. Right? Or 6. 6. You're right, 6.
Well, this is different because usually we don't do Thursday games, but considering that we've got 3 Thursday games because it's Thanksgiving and the first ever NFL Black Friday game, we might as well just go all the way and do all 16 games because no team is on the bye this week, as far as I know.
That's right. And yeah, because of course I'm so ecstatic for the Amazon Black Friday game. I'm so ecstatic. But all right, here we go. The first game, Thanksgiving.
Nick, before you get into that, you have to go over for the standings.
Oh, you're right.
So we know what the stakes are.
Good catch, Stan. I see when Johnny's not here, I forget to do things. All right, so here's the current standings. Johnny Montalbano in the lead with 206 points. Tom Albano 205. Nick DiMartino 202. Zain Bando 197. Ben Kruse 197. Nick Morgasen has moved out of last place in 192, and Paul, who's only 3 points behind at 189. So we are, if I'm doing the quick math in my head, I think 17 points separates first and last. So it is a close neck-and-neck competition. So let's see what we can do this week. All right, so the first game, Thanksgiving, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It is the Packers at the Lions. Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi on the NFL on Fox. Let's see who we're going to start with. All right, Nick, we'll start with you. The Lions are a 7.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I love the Lions this game. I mean, they look like one of the best teams in the NFL right now, and the Packers, I think, are due for a bit of a letdown. So I mean, that half a point does make me a little bit nervous, but yeah, I don't know. I think the Lions should win by 2 scores or more. They've been like how do you call it? What do you call it? A high-powered offense.
Kind of, sort of. Paul?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with the Packers on this one at plus 7.5. I think that the Lions are going to win the game, but I think that's going to be within a touchdown. I think it's going to be a lot closer than most people think. But the Lions are definitely going to come away with it. They've been one of the best teams in football throughout the entire season. They're now in first place, I think, in the entire league with the best record at 8-2. And the Packers have just been up and down all season, and they're not going to have Aaron Jones for this game, so AJ Dillon's going to be in the backfield.
I was just going to interrupt and say,
yeah,
exactly. And so no Aaron Jones, who actually, honestly, I think it's been a little bit of a letdown this season, but AJ Dillon's probably been the better back. But I'm going to say the Lions come away with the victory. Always play on Thanksgiving, almost never wins, so I'm going to give it to them. But the Packers going to be within 7.5.
Okay, Ben.
I realized this while Paul was talking that this might be the first year that Thanksgiving that the Lions are actually like a very good team. Like there's so many Thanksgivings that we're watching, we're like, oh, the Lions are playing. Of course we have to watch this team again. And like I'm actually like really excited. Like the first game, right? They're playing against the Packers, which of course is a in division type of game. And the Lions have been a great team all year. Their only home loss was, I believe, week 2 or week 3 against Seattle. Their other loss outside of that was against the Ravens. They've just been an amazing team at home this year. And I agree with Nick that I think that the Packers are due for a little bit of a letdown. I think they'll win by 10 points, 24-14 Lions, and I have them covering here at the 7.5.
Zan?
I mean, this is a good old-fashioned classic NFC North rivalry game where you don't really know what you're going to get, and this is one of the first years in my lifetime where the Lions are actually good and the Packers are regressing, but that doesn't mean that this game won't be entertaining, because it will. For kind of the reasons the other guys mentioned, especially with the loss of Aaron Jones for the Packers and running back, one of the most productive backs in the entire NFL, I think it's going to play a benefit to Detroit, with them being at home and in the dome and stuff. I think 7.5 is a good line. And I also do think that Detroit has covered this one. They were so close to covering against the Bears and they couldn't do it. I think this week they're playing a little bit of a lesser opponent in Green Bay, who just came off of a huge win against a Chargers team that's really, really struggling. So I do think the Packers are also due for a letdown, and I love Detroit in this spot to cover and get a huge win on Thanksgiving and keep their NFC North lead and momentum afloat going into the final month of the year. So give me Detroit.
Tom?
Yeah, going to Paul's point before about Aaron Jones being a letdown, as much as AJ Dillon has been the better back, as you said, I feel like the running game in Green Bay has just been a complete letdown overall. And, credit to the receiving core, which is still developing in Green Bay. I still don't think, it's been a very good season. As we've been saying, the Packers are a very up and down team. What Packers are we going to see in this game? What Jordan Love are we going to see in this game? And I don't really have that certainty. Now, granted, this is a divisional battle, and we know about the craziness of the divisional battles. And we know that as much as the Lions are a very good team, the Lions haven't had the greatest of luck on Thanksgiving. But I've said it before. I said it during the preview. I think this Lions team is different. I think Dan Campbell, you see the energy that this team has. I think they've got great weapons. I think Gibbs is going to have a very solid game. I think keep an eye on Jared Goff for a nice game from him. I think I'm in agreement with Ben and Zan that the Packers are in for a letdown. Give me the Lions. I'm taking the money.
Yeah, I'm basically on that train as well. Even though Jordan Love and the Packers have played much better football as of late, the past couple of games, Jared Goff showed some guts the last game, scoring, 2 touchdowns in the last 2.5 minutes. I mean, to come back from a double-digit deficit. I mean, I don't know. The Lions are just different. I think this is the best record they've had since the 1960s, I think is what they said. It was some insane many decades ago that they've had this record. I just think the Lions are a better team. Now, we'll have to see if they can take this into the playoffs and win. But I think like everyone else said, I think the Packers are going to have a letdown. So I'm going to take the money on the Lions as well. All right. Game number 2 on Thanksgiving, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Commanders at the Cowboys. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wilson on CBS. So the Cowboys are a 11-point favorite at home. Who are we going to start with? All right, Paul, we'll start with you. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. it's a divisional game, which is always going to make it a lot more difficult. The Commanders have been up and down all season, blowing some easy games that they should win, and then playing tremendous against the Eagles throughout the year. But I'm going to take the Cowboys at -11. I think that they're definitely going to come away with this. They're red hot right now, and I like what I've seen from their offense. I think that they're going to take care of business on Thanksgiving and come away with victory.
Ben?
So I have the Cowboys winning, but I think Commanders are going to take the 11 here. I agree with Nick, like mentioned last week, that the Commanders, I was watching all that game. They played down a competition a lot more this year than I really thought. I didn't expect them to lose to Tommy DeVito, but here we are. And now they're playing against the Cowboys, and I feel like they're going to play a lot better. It's kind of been an up and down type of team. So with that being said, I do like Dallas here. They've been a better team this year. I feel like the last year, the offense is playing a lot better, like Paul mentioned. So I'm going to go with Dallas here, but I think the Cowboys are going to take the +11 here. I think that the line is a little too much for me to take the full cover. So that's that.
Zan?
Again, this is another one of those divisional games where it's definitely a coin flip, and you kind of expect the let down from Dallas, who's the favorite here, but they're just clearly the better team in every facet of the game. And what it comes down to for me is who's the better quarterback. And Dak Prescott is light years better than Sam Howell. Sam Howell has never played on this big of a stage in his NFL career yet, with millions of people watching, with it being one of the only sporting events on TV today. So I think it's just one of those situations where he's going to get caught in the fire. I think he's going to get sacked a lot, maybe 3 or 4 times. And I think Dak Prescott has one of his best days as a pro. I think he throws for about 345 yards, and he ended up throwing for 3 touchdowns and having, the breakout Thanksgiving game that he's been needing to have. I think that today's the day that he does it. And I not only do I love Dallas -11, I think it's one of these plays that if anyone's considering putting something on it that could potentially, and I'm this potentially because I have a different pick for this later on, but if anyone's going to put something on this that's potentially a lock, I think that this is one of those picks that you have to consider. So give me the Ellis -11, and I'm going to go conservative here and say that this is not my lock of the week.
Tom?
Well, Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Well, it's that time again. And we're playing the Commanders. Oh, man. And this team couldn't even beat the Giants with Tommy damn DeVito last week. You really think this isn't going to be a cakewalk for us? I mean, I think Zan was just singing Dak's praises. Now, of course, if Dak sucks this week, I could easily try to hook him again. But, this is going to be such an easy game for us. And by the way, you're all forgetting something. You're all forgetting about that solid defense. Deron Bland, my man, getting 4 pick sixes this season. Which, by the way, character break, I think Deron Bland needs to be considered a defensive player of the year for that very reason. I think you got to consider him even above Jalen Carter at this rate. But, this isn't my lock of the week, but you know what? It's the Commanders. And you know what? We're much better than that Commanders team. We're easily getting to a wild card spot. If it wasn't for those damn Eagles, we'll find a way to catch up with them in December. But yeah, how about them Cowboys? Take the money.
Oh, that's more Jerry than I wanted to hear in one sentence. But what am I picking in this game? Oh yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys, even though I wish they would lose. But the Commanders are just, I don't know, they're a blah team. That's the best way I could describe them. Sam Howell is the most sacked. I feel like this is a broken record. We say he's the most sacked quarterback in the league because he is. He gets hit constantly. He can't release the ball fast enough. It kind of reminds me of Zach Wilson, which we'll get to in a little bit. But
making everything about the Jets.
Yeah, well, that's what we do as miserable Jet fans. But yeah, this is not going to be close. The Commanders are going to get destroyed. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a 24-0 at the half. Really, to be honest, something like that. I'm going to take the Cowboys to cover on that one.
Yeah, I totally agree with a lot of what you said. Sam Howell is the second most sacked quarterback in the NFL right now. So the Commanders they definitely have one of the worst offensive lines. The Cowboys have an elite defense, and you can't forget the fact that Dallas has played 4 home games. They're 4-0, and the closest game was when they played the Jets, 30-10. So every home game, they've been totally dominant, partly because they played awful teams. But the Commanders also fall into that category. So I see no reason to believe that the same thing is not going to happen. I don't think that, I don't see the Commanders being able to keep it that close. I don't think they'll be able to play them close the way they do the Eagles. They just the way these teams match up, I think Dallas should kill them.
Yeah, totally. All right. Now for, I think, the best game of Thanksgiving. The primetime game on NBC. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark on NBC. It's the 49ers at the Seahawks. The Niners are a 6.5-point favorite on the road. Ben, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it's obviously going to be a great one. I'm really curious to see the health of Geno Smith. He was kind of, hurting a little bit at the end of last week's game against the Rams. It's in Seattle. I think it's the first time ever that Thanksgiving is going to be in Seattle, so it should be a really good crowd there, especially against a division rival foe. So I like the Niners, though. They've been playing really, really well ever since Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel came back. They kind of feel like they're old Niners selves from the beginning of the season. So I like the Niners here to cover the 6.5.
Zan?
I actually am going to go the opposite of probably what most of you guys think. I love Seattle to cover the spread at home. I just think that that insane atmosphere on Thanksgiving night could end up getting to Brock Purdy. I love Seattle to cover, but I like the 49ers to win the game simply because I think the 49ers are the better team. But given that this is a old NFC West bloodbath, if you will, where these two teams just don't like each other, expect a very close, very competitive game. It might end up going to overtime. So give me the 49ers to win 27-24. Will it go to overtime or not? I'm not sure, but do not be surprised. And I just see Geno Smith playing in this game, and so will Purdy. And I think the last quarterback to make a mistake is gonna lose the game. So give me the 49ers to win, but Seattle to cover the spread, cover the 6.5.
Tom?
See, Zan, I can't agree with that because Geno Smith is pretty banged up. Kenneth Walker was just announced is going to miss several weeks, starting with this game.
Significant time, yeah.
Significant. Those are significant injuries. And what that loss to the Rams showed me was that there are questions about Seattle's defense, and if this Seattle offense is going to be led by Drew Lock at some point, that's going to be a bust. That's going to be terrible for this. And maybe this is because I'm partially mad at Seahawks for being the main reason I lost all my money on Wolves spreads last week. But not only am I taking the 49ers, not only am I taking the money, Thanksgiving lock, baby.
Ooh.
Yeah, I saw that one coming. Actually, believe it or not, Tom, you and I are going to agree this week. I have the same lock. I think that the
TV lock again.
Yeah, the Niners are healthy. Let's just put it that way. Debo is back. McCaffrey finally looks like the running back that he needs to be. Brock Purdy looks better. Now, obviously, when his pieces are out, he has to throw the football more and be more aggressive. Now he doesn't have to be more aggressive because his pieces are on the field. Their defense looks a little bit healthier. The way Seattle lost last week was bad. In a lot of ways, it was bad. You can't miss a chippy to lose a game. You just can't. And that just leads to bad momentum down the stretch. Geno is banged up with the elbow injury. Like we said, Kenneth Walker out at least 3 to 4 weeks from what they were saying. There's no way this is going to be a blowout, and this is going to be my lock also.
I mean, Nick, this is, even if it's not a blowout, the fact that Geno is banged up and Ken Walker's hurt now in week 12, that's a blow to the potential playoff chances of Seattle.
Yes, absolutely. Nick, did you make the pick yet? No.
I did not. Yes, okay. I agree with everything you guys just said. Without Kenneth Walker, with Geno Smith not being totally healthy, and just the fact that, like, within the past month, the Seahawks have been really bad. I mean, like they've either gotten blown out by a really good team like the Ravens, or they've been playing very competitively against backup quarterbacks or against. I mean, the best win that they've had has been against in the past month. They beat. They lost to the Bengals with a very unhealthy Joe Burrow. They lost. They beat the Cardinals, which was a decent win. But I mean, the Cardinals were. I mean, they're definitely a below-average team with Josh Dobbs as their quarterback. So they're not. They haven't beaten anybody. At least not in a long time. They beat the Lions, but I mean, I have no reason to believe that they can keep this close. I mean, the Niners, when the Niners are fully healthy, they're very, very dominant.
Yeah,
and
well said.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And just like you guys were saying, I mean, you guys put it perfectly. I'm going to go with the 49ers too, and I'm going to make this one my lock at -6.5 as well. It's one of the safer bets, I think. The Seahawks have not been playing well. They're beaten up now with Geno Smith. He's going to play, but he's going to be beaten up, and Kenneth Walker being out for significant time. And the 49ers defense is disgusting. And if Geno is hurt, that I don't have too much trust that the Seahawks are going to put up that many points. So I'm definitely taking this one as my lock.
Yeah. This game is going to be a blowout. I just feel that. All right, let's move on to the game that Nick D and I are going to drag watching. So it is the Amazon Black Friday game at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Dolphins at the Jets at MetLife. The Dolphins are a 10-point favorite. Al Michaels, Kurt Herbstreit, and Kaylee Hartong on Amazon Prime Video. All right, Nick, you take it first, and then we'll follow after you. This is going to be a blowout, bloodbath.
So we're starting Tim Boyle. So want to hear something interesting? Tim Boyle's stats wait, hold on a second. Let me pull this up.
Oh, I heard part of this. Yeah, his college stats,
he played
right?
19
his
games
college
at UConn, and he threw 1 touchdown and 13 interceptions.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow, great college career.
In the NFL, he's thrown 3 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. So he might as well not have a right arm. He's just that bad. So the line is 9.5. The Dolphins are going to kill us. Not to mention, the Dolphins have possibly the best offense in the NFL, and if the Jets offense can't play on the field, it's going to affect the defense a lot. So the Dolphins, I'm taking -9.5. -10, and that's my lock of the week.
Yeah, I mean, if I wasn't using my lock in the other game, I would have used it in this one too. The Dolphins are absolutely going to beat the living you-know-what out of the Jets, and it's not even going to be a close game. The Jets are injured. Their offensive line is a mess. Tim Boyle is starting. The news is on Zach Wilson being the third-string quarterback. That's all they care about in New York. I mean, do I have to say it? Tua, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle. This is not even going to be a close contest. Give me the money. Easiest bet of the week. Go ahead, Tom.
All right. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that the 49ers game was a lower line and they had their own Seahawks have found their own fair share of injuries, I might use the lock on this one. But yeah, I think, guys, we should make this harder. So in response to what Nick was saying about not having a right arm, I think Tim Boyle should play this game with one hand tied behind his back.
That's great.
You know what? How long do you give, guys? Maybe by mid-third quarter, we're going to have Al Michaels just reading Black Friday sales.
Or talking about how he doesn't eat vegetables.
Or what he ate on Thanksgiving.
Which is not vegetables.
Right. Yeah, take the money. Easy, take the money.
Zan?
Yeah, I mean, this is no contest. I just want to clarify, Nick D, is this the same Tim Boyle that did a brief stint with the Bears too?
Yes.
Okay. So I was thinking of the same quarterback. I mean, this is a dumb game. I mean, Miami is the class of the AFC East. It's their division to lose at this point. The Jets are in absolute free fall mode. This dream season went from being a dream season to a disaster really quickly, and they're falling back into the same old Jets, and this is going to be just another variation of it. So give me the Dolphins -10, and simply because they pissed me off against the Raiders last week by covering the spread. I am not going to be picking him as my lock of the week, and I will have a different play for what will be my actual lock of the week for week 12. But nonetheless, give me the Dolphins to cover and win this game. I'm gonna say 42-13 is gonna be the final score.
Wow, that's an interesting score, but okay. Ben,
42-13 with 2 garbage time touchdowns in the fourth added to it. So they're gonna be shutting them out.
wow. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, if nobody wants to go Black Friday shopping online or Amazon, you could probably get in for this game because I don't think this game is going to be particularly close, specifically with Tim Boyle being the quarterback. I don't see any juice because of this game. It sucks that Rodgers obviously is not healthy, because if he was, this was going to be obviously a throw-in matchup. But with the way it's going to happen is, I think that Tim Boyle and company are probably going to get max 10 points. But it's going to be like 27-10. I think that the Dolphins probably going to pull away in the second half. The thing about the Jets still that I will give credit for is their defense has held their own against really good quarterbacks all year. So if there's any type of thing, Tua, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, even Jalen Hurts. So the Jets defense has held its own, but if you don't have a quarterback on the Jets side, it doesn't really matter. So
okay, I got to stop you for a second. Wait a minute. You're going to say the defense has held its own after it gave up 32 points this past week.
For me, so personally, I can understand that, but overall, it's been fairly good. I'll have to say that. But regardless, I think the Dolphins are going to hammer. This is my lock of the week at 10 -10.
Paul?
Yeah, I'm going the same way. I'm going to go Dolphins at -10. This is a very easy one. I don't expect anything to come out of the Jets offense. With Tim Boyle running it, you really have no idea what's going to happen. And Dolphins just are so explosive. Jets defense is very good, so I could see them being able to limit them to under 30, but the Jets aren't going to be able to put up much more than probably 2 touchdowns at most. So I'm definitely taking the Dolphins.
How blown away would you guys be if somehow, some way the Jets win this game?
It won't happen, so we won't even have to think about it. By the way,
I'll probably have a better chance winning the lottery.
Yeah. By the way, so Amazon spent $100 million on this Black Friday game. You think they're kicking themselves right now that this is a game that's going to be a blowout?
Yeah.
They're probably anticipating, the thing about the Jets is with Rodgers before the year, a lot of their games are going to be prime time or, well-known games. And it's kind of hard to kind of get that away from.
What?
Sorry, they went into the season thinking they were going to get this guy.
By the way, speaking of that, you were talking about Tim Boyle playing with one hand tied behind his back. Why did you just play Aaron Rodgers since he's going to play on one leg anyway?
Put Aaron Rodgers out there in like a wheelchair or something.
Yeah, but that's better than Tim Boyle and Zach Wilson.
But Nick, here's my question though. If we get Aaron Rodgers to play in the wheelchair, do we have to do 2-hand touch?
It's not going to matter. They won't win anyway. All right, let's move on. All right, now let's go into the Sunday games. Saints at the Falcons. Joe Davis, Daryl Moose Johnson, and Pam Oliver on the NFL on Fox. This is a miserable game. Saints are a 1-point favorite on the road at the Falcons. I think we can really make this one quick because there's not much to really discuss. Tom, go ahead.
All right. I don't really like these teams too much. The Saints just don't really do it for me, even with Derek Carr at the helm, even with Alvin Kamara. The Falcons, I feel like the Falcons can play better than they actually can if Arthur Smith actually used his pieces correctly, if he actually used Bijan Robinson to full potential, if he used Kyle Pitts to full potential, if he used Drake London to full potential, we could actually have a better team, but they just don't. That being said, I do like the pieces on the Falcons more than I do the Saints. I'm going to go upset city. Falcons win at home.
Oh, okay. I'll take this one next. This is an ugly game in every way, shape, or form. The Saints haven't really proved much. Like, they had all this hype with Derek Carr being quarterback, gone nowhere. Alvin Kamara, since he's come back from the suspension, has not been great. But the Falcons have not been great either. Bijan Robinson has disappeared. Wasn't there a stat, Tom, that was going around like that his statistics in the red zone were like non-existent?
Basically.
So, he's been a disappointment. Drake London's been a disappointment. Like you said, Desmond Ridder got benched. for what's his name, the backup who was in Washington.
Heineke.
Yeah, Heineke. So this game is ugly, but the Falcons, in theory, I guess, have better pieces. It's only a 1-point spread, so I'll take the Falcons +1. Go ahead, Nick.
All right, so I'm the opposite. I'm going with the Saints. The Falcons. This is not so much pro Saints as much as it is anti Falcons. They've lost 3 games in a row. Their quarterback situation is a mess, and I mean, even if their quarterback situation weren't a mess, I'd still take Derek Carr over Desmond Ridder or Tyler Heineke anyway. So I don't know. To me, I think the Saints look like the best team in the division. I mean, I think they're going to win I think they're going to win the NFC South. Not that that's saying much, but the Saints. I mean, it's mainly the fact that the Falcons right now are just such a mess. I don't see them being able to pull this off.
Paul?
Yeah, I agree with that. And mainly because I'm going to play devil's advocate against Nick and Tom because I need to find any way to put up some points since I'm in dead last right now. So I got to go against you guys. I'm going to go with the Saints at -1. I'm not confident with either one of these teams winning this game. So I'm going to pull a Hank coin flip basically, and I'll just go with the Saints.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I mean, what can you say about like either team? They've both been extremely inconsistent. It is in Atlanta though, which I kind of like for the Falcons, but you know, I've hated Derek Carr's entire career, so maybe he can actually pull one out for me this time.
Ben?
Yeah, I don't like any of these two teams. You know, obviously Nick mentioned the Saints, of course, are probably the best in the division. Falcons, I think, they have pieces there, but they don't know how to use them right. So it feels like a pick 'em game, especially with the line being the way it is. Give me the Saints, though. I feel like maybe that they have a little bit of better outside weapons. Kamara's obviously there. Michael Thomas, of course, is on IR, but they still, I feel like, could have enough in this one. And I just think that the Falcons are in disarray right now. So give me the Saints to cover the -1.
Zan?
This game is just horrible. And I think it's disappointing that the Chicago market has to be suffocated with this because this is the worst game that the Chicago market could get. Evidence neither of these teams are going anywhere. Desmond Ridder is not the answer in Atlanta. Derek Carr is a shell of his former self. These two teams, it will be delegated to playing this game at 3 in the morning. Because that's when this game honestly deserves to be played. It's that bad. But thankfully for the purist and mini expert in me, I'm taking the Saints. Derek Carr is simply the better quarterback, and this line is just disgusting. The Siege should be favored by more. It should be a 3 or 4 point spread. Even if the Saints were the favorites, I would still take the Saints. I just think this Falcons team is just absolutely putrid, and they're gonna show more of their atrocity on Sunday when they lose at home in a game that they desperately need to win. So give me the Saints.
All right, now let's move on to a bigger matchup of this week. Iron Eagle, Charles Davis, and Evan Washburn in the NFL and CBS. Steelers at the Bengals. The Steelers are a 1.5 point favorite. I'm going to take this one because, again, I've been the Bengals. I don't know. What do you want to call it, Tom? Killjoy for the Bengals since the holidays are coming up soon.
It is Thanksgiving, so you can be like the Puritans of old, where no fun.
Yeah, I guess I could say I was right even more now that Burrow is out with an injury. By the way, the Bengals are being investigated now by the league for not reporting his injury on the injury report, which is big news.
Justice. I want justice.
Okay, so you want that $200,000 fine, which the billionaire is going to be able to pay, and then
I said
it's going to go away.
I'm not calling that justice.
Well, that's according to the NFL, that's going to be justice.
Well, yeah, I don't really trust the NFL when it comes to justice.
But the way I look at it is no Burrow, no win for the Bengals. It's as simple as that. Even though Kenny Pickett has not been great either. Let me put that out there, first of all. And they just fired their offensive coordinator in Canada. Whatever his first name was. What's his name? Matt Canada?
Which, by the way, about damn time.
I mean, he should go back to Canada and stay there because he was embarrassing as the Pittsburgh OC. But yeah, without Burrow, they don't win. I'm taking the Steelers to cover on this one for 1.5. Nick?
Hey, I totally agree. The Bengals are starting Jake Browning.
XFL.
Yeah, former XFL guy. He was a Washington quarterback. The Steelers have actually been a pretty good team. They've beaten teams that actually have been pretty good. So I mean, I don't know. This feels easy to me. Steelers -1.5.
I guess it makes you that sick that Joe Burrow's not playing, right? Stick to your stomach. Paul?
Yeah, I'm going the same thing. Steelers at -1.5. It's difficult to take the Bengals, I think, the rest of the season because we have no idea what we're going to get out of Jake Browning. Since Burrow's out, it's going to be tough. And the Steelers have had a good year. Kenny Pickett hasn't had a great year, but despite him, they've been able to win. And they've been able to figure out ways to win games regardless. So even if Joe Burrow was playing, the Steelers would probably give them a pretty good game. So I would definitely take the Steelers.
Ben?
Yeah, I'm going to go Steelers here. I mean, the loss of Joe Burrow obviously is massive. And I think that with the loss of Matt Canada is an absolute win for the Steelers. I think they're just very dull and boring offensively. So I think that pretty much will help the Steelers have a little bit of a jolt offensively after struggling last week against the Browns. So yeah, give me the Steelers here. And they've had pretty good success the last couple of years in Cincy too. If that means anything. So yeah, give me the Steelers at 1.5.
Zan?
Steelers, this is too easy. No Burrow in the biggest AFC divisional game of the year with the at riding at stake. This is a game that Kenny Pickett cannot make any mistakes, and this is arguably one of the biggest games of the Steelers season, and a game that I think could go a long way in determining their playoff fate. So this is one of those ones where Pittsburgh continues to play good football. I think Jaylen Warren is another big day on the ground, and also with the combination of Najee Harris too in a stout defense that's probably going to need to make one big play in the fourth quarter to stifle Browning pulling up the upset. So give me Pittsburgh. This is easy.
Tom? Tom, you're muted. There you go.
Sorry. All right. This is going to be a very easy pick. No Joe Burrow, NFL investigation, and the Steelers, in the words of Urinating Tree, BSing their way into a very successful season. I mean, it's Mike Tomlin's success at this point. Just consistent winning seasons, plus the firing of Matt Canada. Yeah. Here is what the Bengals fate this Sunday is. Take the money.
Yeah, that I had a feeling that was coming. All right, let's move on here. This game's not too good. Jaguars at the Texans. Andrew Cattle on Tiki Barber, Matt Ryan, AJ Ross on CBS. In my opinion, one of the worst booths CBS has is actually. Where are we going to go here? All right, Ben, you take this one. Jaguars are 1.5 favorite on the road. Ben, you're muted.
I'm going to go Texans. I've really loved the play of the last couple weeks of C.J. Stroud. I know he threw 3 picks last week, but he's just letting it out fly. Tank Dell has done a really good job with them. That Houston team's played really, really well lately. They went to Cincy, obviously, with Joe Burrow healthy. They just won last week against the Cardinals, obviously, with Kyler. And, the Cardinals offensively playing a lot better. They had to come back from that one, too. So I'm going to go Texans here to win and actually win outright. I think that it's going to be one that they – continue their great play, and D'Amico Ryans is my potential rookie coach of the year. So I'm going to go Texans here.
Zan?
I also like Houston in this upset spot. I think, we're getting to that point of the season where upsets are paramount, and I just think this is one of those games where I think CJ Stroud is a nice bounce back week, and I think the Texans do just enough to keep Trevor Lawrence at bay, and I think they keep Travis Etienne under 130 yards rushing. Just give me the Texans to cover in this game and win outright.
Tom?
You know what? I need some upsets here. So you know what? I'll join Ben and Zan on this upset hype train. Give me the Texans this one. I think I actually going to disagree with Nick. I think this one's going to be a fun and competitive game. You got
I
Trevor
agree, too.
Lawrence going against CJ Stroud. I think this
Mhm.
is going to be a back and forth battle with the lead. But I think CJ Stroud, he has been impressing people. Like, he's my pick right now for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I think he's going to show that. He needs one of those big, emphatic wins for his rookie season. And I think doing it against a team that pretty much has its division locked up, like Jacksonville, I think will be that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually staying on that train. I'm actually taking the Texans also. I happen to like CJ Stroud. I like the way he's been playing. And this is gonna sound nuts, but you have to at least include him in the MVP discussion. I'm not saying that he's going to be, but you have to put him up there in like the second level of the MVP discussion. And at least say he's having an amazing season for a rookie. I think he's only thrown 2 picks now all season, I think. So he's having a good season. Just get the offensive weapons back healthy. The Jaguars, you don't know which team you're going to get every week. They're a good team, but they get blown out every so often during the season. They got blown out by San Francisco. I mean, you don't know which team you're going to get. So because of that, I just think CJ Stroud might throw all over the Jaguars. So I'm going to take the upset too for +1.5. Nick?
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking the +1.5. CJ Stroud's had a great year. The Texans haven't lost at home since September 17th. So they're 4-1 at home. They've been a very good home team. The Jaguars, like you said, you don't know what. I mean, they are a good team, but occasionally they just really, really lay an egg.
Put up a
but
stinker.
Right now, the Texans look like a hotter team. Right now, the Jaguars are sort of up and down. But the Texans have been very good lately, especially at home.
Paul?
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. I'm going to take the Texans at +1.5. They've been on a roll. I think that this is a huge game for the Jaguars because this could be a real proving point. This could win them the division if they win this game. I mean, there's plenty of weeks left, and there's a lot they could play out. But we may look back if they end up winning this game. We may look back and say this was the one that kind of clinched them the division. So I think that this is a huge game for the Jaguars, but I think the Texans are going to come away with it. They've been red hot, and Stroud's just been amazing. So I'm going to roll with them.
All right, let's move on. Another interesting matchup here. The Bucks at the Colts. Spiro Diaz, Adam Archuleta, and Amanda Renner on NFL and CBS. Colts are a 2.5-point favorite at home. Let's see who's going to take this. Zan, you take this one. Colts 2.5 favorite.
Yeah, I mean this game just reeks of just a punt fest. I mean, I just see neither of these teams going anywhere. Baker Mayfield has been so inconsistent. You don't know what Colts team you're going to get. It's the only thing benefiting the Colts at this point is that the Colts are at home. So for that sole purpose, and because I think Jonathan Taylor is probably going to have a big day running the football, give me the Colts to cover this one and win the game. I think it's going to be a close game. So give me the Colts to cover, and I actually think the Colts are going to win this game by 6. I think the Bucks keep it close, but I do think that Baker throws what will be the game-losing interception while going down to try to win it, and that's kind of in the microcosm of Tampa Bay season, and this is one of those games that Indianapolis can't afford to lose, considering it's out of their division, and Houston and Jacksonville are playing each other. So I think if you're a Colts fan, you're gonna be sitting on your hands this week because the AFC South is kind of wide open. It'll be in some respects, and they want to stay in that division race. So give me the Colts.
Ben?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Colts here. Both quarterbacks, you got Baker Mayfield and you have Gardner Minshew. I know the Buccaneers, I feel like, have a better defense, and the Colts just moved on from Shaq Leonard, which was obviously a pretty crucial loss for them because he's been a really well-known defensive player for them. But I think that the running game, Zach Moss, Jonathan Taylor, the Bucs have a pretty hard time against the run. So I'm going to take my chances here with the Colts. I feel like the Colts really need this one too. So I'm going to have them to cover the 2.5.
Paul?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Colts too at -2.5. This is another one that's just a tough game to predict. because you don't know what you're going to get from either one of these teams. But I'm going to roll with Indianapolis since they're home. Baker's been off, and this will get the Colts over 500 too. So could be a good game for them to try to get back on top of things.
Nick D.
All right, so I like the Bucks this game because I don't know, the Bucks are kind of a funny, scrappy team, but mainly because the Colts don't have road field advantage. This game, the Colts are horrible at home. They're like 1-4 at home.
They're one of the worst teams at home this year.
Yeah, they're 1-4 at home and 4-1 on the road. They're like the reverse of what everybody else normally is. I don't know. I mean, the Bucks, they're just a scrappy team. I mean, this game is kind of a coin flip, but you know what? They really are a scrappy team, and they can really keep games close. They're not all the Bucks are not all that bad.
They kept the Niners game last week close too.
Yeah, they kept the Bills game close.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the Bucks?
I definitely see your point.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bucks.
Yeah, so there was a lot of attention going around over the last couple of days with Jim Irsay and the DUI situation, and he can't keep his mouth shut. I guarantee you this week, everyone has to be rooting for the Bucks because no one just wants to see the Jim Irsay be successful whatsoever. I did remember that stat that they are one of the worst home teams in the NFL this year. They have reverse splits. But I don't know. Has Baker done anything? I feel like Baker hasn't done very much. Like,
No, it hasn't.
At the start of the season, he seemed to be doing okay, but the Bucks have just been ineffective ever since.
I mean, this is a crappy quarterback matchup. Gardner Minshew and Baker Mayfield. Like, what are we expecting here? I don't know, but I'm strictly going to pick this, I guess,
don't think Baker Mayfield's really been all that bad this year.
His numbers, like on paper, he hasn't been terrible, but
not bad but far from great.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's saying he's great, but he's had a pretty good year by Baker Mayfield standards.
Yeah, I mean, he was trying to get himself back to becoming a starter, and I feel like he's done a pretty good job given the standards that he's gotten for a chance.
I'll give him that.
He's been clutch though. When's the last time he's put together a solid game-winning drive where you said to yourself, "Wow, Baker Mayfield actually won a competition football game that he showed that he can win a million times." But so far, Tampa Bay, I haven't seen it.
But the one thing I will say is, like, the whole thing with Gardner Minshew, like, I have a little trust issue with Minshew partially because he can't get those game-winning drives, or he always turns it over at the worst possible time. So I'm just going to take the Bucks to plus 2.5, just because I just have a bad feeling that this game is.
It'll be a game of who screws up at the end, pretty much.
Essentially, Tom.
Yeah, this game is. I think this might be one of, if not the worst game of the week. Actually, I see a couple of other nominees coming.
This is a game, by the way, where I would say if you're a gambler, you're a degenerate.
Honestly, I might say that for a couple of the 1 o'clock window is just the
bad.
1 o'clock window is full of really bad games on Sunday.
This is a game I wouldn't touch at all, by the way.
Neither would I. But considering the fact that, we talked about the Colts, lack of success at home, Baker doing okay for himself, I'm going to take the upset. I'm going to go with the Bucks on the road.
All right, let's move on to a game which two people here are mostly anticipating this week. The Patriots at the Giants at MetLife. Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, Shannon Spake on the NFL on Fox. The Patriots are a 3.5 point favorite, at the Giants. Tom, you take this one first.
Let me start by asking this question. How is it that Tommy DeVito, within one game, now has more touchdowns this season than Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, I want to say Kenny Pickett, too?
It is more than Kenny Pickett. Yeah.
It is unbelievable. And now here's my other question. Where was this when Tyrod Taylor went down against the Jets? Where was this when Daniel Jones went down against the Raiders? Why did you not let this man throw the football more? It is the most frustrating question because he has shown some ability. The 2 throwing touchdowns to Saquon. I mean, I get it. The Giants were going to be in for a rough season anyways. But you think about that loss to the Jets. you think maybe, if you had trusted him with the football more, maybe that could have been a win. You think about you still the success with the Commanders. The Raiders game, I don't know. But and then we've talked about this during the preview, guys. The Giants have a weaker schedule coming up. It's teams like the Pats, they've got the Packers and the Rams coming up within the December window. The Commanders, obviously, they took both games from. They're entering some winnable matchups here. The Pats. Here's my question. As of this day, as of the time we're recording this, we haven't had an official benching of Mac Jones, but I guarantee you by the time Sunday afternoon rolls around, we're going to see Bailey Zappi out there. I honestly feel that way. I don't know if the Patriots fan here feels that way, but I certainly feel that way.
Well, so what's your pick?
Okay. Because this is probably the last time that I can do this season, and because it's Pats, and it's because I don't really have any sort of faith in any sort of New England offense, or even with Bill Belichick, I am actually going to upset City, and I am taking the Giants down.
Oh! Ben, you can retort here. You'll go next here.
For myself being at this game, I hope I have a big refund coming my way because I wasn't the person that paid for these tickets. So it'll be the battle of the number 1 and 2 overall pick. So if that's the case, Caleb Williams or Drake May, thank you. If that's the case, Tom. So we'll see how this goes. It'll be. You guys know the Spider-Man meme of the point? That's
Yes.
going to be the Giants-Patriots game because I feel like the teams essentially want the other teams to win. So I really don't know. I've never felt a Patriots-Giants game ever this case. It's typically Super Bowls obviously, or back and forth, beat Brady and Eli. But this gonna be the first time in a while where I just really know what to expect. I will say that the Giants, their offense, I think, is just kind of similar to ours, and I think though, us coming off of a bye week, I think that we're going to do enough. I think Mac Jones might potentially have his best last game as a Patriot, at least for her terms of his standards. I'm going to go 16-13 Patriots. So I think that the Pats will win, but the Giants will cover.
Ooh, good. At least you're on my side for something.
Wow.
Yeah, I have to. I mean, there's no way this game is going to be a one-sided. It's going to be right down to the wire. Somebody's going to have to win.
All right, Paul, what do you got?
I actually agree with Ben on this one. I think that I'm taking the Giants at +3, and I think the Patriots are going to end up winning the game. It's going to be 2-3 point game easily. I don't anticipate much out of this game. I'm probably not going to watch any of it. I'll check.
I don't blame you.
I'll check in on the score. I'll be a little too worried about if the Chiefs are going to drop a game to the Raiders afterwards. So
I'll text you the game if you're missing anything.
Thank you. Yeah, let me know. If
We'll get live reports from Ben at the game.
Exactly. But yes, that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, this game is ugly, but I do agree. I think this is going to be a tie game, and I think it's going to be won by the Patriots on a field goal late in the fourth quarter. That's how I see this game playing out. It's going to be ugly. Mac Jones, I think, is basically singing his swan song. He's not going to be the starting quarterback next year. The Giants, it's basically placeholder until they go into the draft and they draft a quarterback. That's pretty much where they are at this point. So if I have to pick ugly over ugly, I think I'm just going to take the Patriots to win, but the Giants +3. So I'm taking that same road. Nick?
Yeah, I think, and I don't agree at all. I think the Patriots, I like the Patriots -3.5. I think the Giants are due for a little bit of a letdown. I also think that the Giants should be in tank mode, and I can totally see them screwing up the tank. Just sounds like something they would do. It's also something the Jets would do, by the way. But yeah, I can see both those things happen. But if it's like, I don't know, the Giants right now feel a little bit more hopeless. Right now, even though they have a better record, but their quarterback situation feels a little bit worse. But more than anything, I just trust the Patriots a little bit more. I trust Belichick a little bit more. And I don't know. It's a tough game, but if anything, I'm gonna have to go with New England.
So I'll give you one of two options for this game.
You suck! Look at all the failure!
Which one is it? Which one is it?
Suck.
You suck.
Zan, you make your pick here.
Oh, I mean this game is just so sad. If you're besides Ben, of course, if you're someone not from these two markets and you're and you're watching this game, you don't have your priorities in order. This is one of those games that they should honestly consider making prisoners watching. Is that that's how bad this game is going to be. I mean, let's be honest, you have the potential to have
Oh my god!
to have Bailey Zappi in there against Tommy DeVito, who's had one good game by some miracle. But with that being said, I don't see how Belichick loses the Giants here. That would just be a very disappointing ending if you're a Patriots fan, potentially to his tenure. But I do think this is going to be a very ugly game. I'm going to say the Patriots win, but the Giants cover. So give me a 14-13 New England final. Scored one of the worst games of the entire NFL.
What do you got, Tom?
Okay, I have two one statement and a question. One, considering the 1:00 games we're going through, I'm just gonna suggest everybody feel free to put up your Christmas decorations during the 1:00 window.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Here's my question. Going off of what Zan said, it's in response to that.
Which part?
About Bill Belichick. Not about the prisoners, about Bill Belichick. So obviously we've had all this talk about Bill Belichick and the potential fate of him. If he loses to the Giants, if that does happen, do you think that seals his fate as he won't be returning?
I think they're going to still wait it out. They're going to wait it out because at this point in time, they know for a fact that this season's a wash. So,
I don't. Hold on, sorry, Ben. I don't mean they're going to fire him after this game, but I think. But my question is, if they lose to the Giants, is it going to be set in stone that he'll probably leave at the end of the season?
I think that's a guarantee, regardless.
The seat's going to get very, very warm. If not already.
I don't think he wants back. I think he wants a new situation. But by the way, these rumors that came out that he already knows which team he's going to next are a load of BS. No one knows where he's going.
He doesn't know who the starting quarterback is this week, let alone.
Dan Orlovsky can go shove it up his you-know-what, saying that he knows what team he's going to.
Bill's going to definitely not say anything publicly either. He's just not that person.
They asked him at the quarter. They said, well, I might start him. I might start him. That's a typical Bill Belichick answer.
Yeah. So.
All right, let's move on. We'll make this a quicker game because this next game is terrible. Panthers at the Titans. Titans are a 3.5-point favorite at home. Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Christina Pink on the NFL on Fox. I'm just going to take this one first and just say it's completely ugly, and I don't think anyone should watch this game. They should go pass out from the long Thanksgiving weekend and take a nap, maybe. I don't know. I like the Titans.
I'm not doing that at a football game, let alone you guys watching the 1:00.
Yeah, seriously. I like the Titans earlier in the season. They kind of have taken a shit on the season, to be honest, and just been terrible. But the Panthers are not that much better by any means. Bryce Young has kind of been a disappointment. Not kind of. He has been a disappointment all season. I'm just going to take the favorite at this point because this game is going to be terrible. Titans minus 3.5. I'm going to take the money on that one. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah. I would rather just not watch this game. I think you all should do something a little more enjoyable and watch. I don't know, Elf or something like that.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
It's the most goated Christmas movie out there.
It is. But I would rather that movie on in a 24-hour loop than watch. Honestly. Yeah, like Nick, I don't care about this game. The Panthers kind of stink, and it's kind of hard to kind of hard to pick them when they only have one win on them. Even though the Titans stink, I do like Will Levis, so I'll take the money on this one. And Zan is just praying for more Panthers losses to ensure the Bears.
I I guess that naturally leads into me next. This game is horrible. This game is a game that really the Panthers don't even have to show up for at this point, because this is still a developmental year for Bryce Young and all of that, and this is the game the Titans desperately need. So give me Tennessee, give me Will Levis, and actually, as a surprise, I'm making this my lock of the week. Give me Titans.
What?
That's balls.
To win at home against the Panthers.
Wow. All right, I just lost because Nick dropped. Who hasn't made a pick yet? All right, Ben, go ahead.
You know what? I'm going to go with the Panthers here. They've only had one win all year. I feel like this is kind of a toss-up type of game despite that line.
No way. That's not happening. No way.
I'm going ballsy here. The 1 o'clock slates games have been awful. It just feels like a weird type of matchup where one of these teams is going to upset here. I'm going to go Panthers. I don't feel confident with either of these picks, but the Titans obviously haven't really proved to me anything. The Panthers obviously have been horrible, but Bryce Young only having one win this year, I feel like he's due for another one coming up. So give me the Panthers here to win. That's one.
Wow. All right, who's left? Paul, you didn't make a pick on this game yet, right? Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
I'm going to go with the Titans in this one. This is a tough one. I think the Titans should be good enough to be able to beat the Panthers by several with how bad that they've played this year. So I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to take the Titans at -3.5. Go with the favorite.
Nick, did you make a pick on this yet?
I did not. No.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I like the Panthers because Bryce Young orders scallops. That's why.
Oh, jeez.
No, I think that the 3.5, it's like, okay, right now I'm not in any way convinced the Titans are really any better than the Panthers just because they have a better record. Right now, both of these teams are at like the very bottom of the league. And that extra half a point makes I could see this game being similar to the Bears and Panthers being within 3 points. And to me, I don't think these two teams are that much different. Sure, the Panthers are bad, but right now, so are the Titans. And I don't know. I'm not willing to lay 3.5 against anybody if it's the Titans. So, yeah, that extra half a point really convinces me. So I'm going with the Titans. I think it's the first upset I took.
Oh, is it?
I think it is. I could be wrong, but I think it is.
All right, let's move on here. Another not so great game. The Rams.
4 o'clock windows, by the way.
Yes, in the 4 o'clock windows. Rams at the Cardinals. The Rams are a 1-point favorite on the road. Chris Myers, Robert Smith, and Jen Hale in the NFL on Fox. This is just not a good game by any stretch. Who do we want here? All right, Paul, you take this first.
Yeah, this is just a tough game. The Cardinals have looked a little bit better since Kyler came back, so they're making things a little bit more interesting. But the Rams have been so up and down. The Cardinals have stunk all year, so I'm going to go with the Rams. I'll go with the favorite on this one. This is another one that I'm not very enthused by choosing either. So I'm kind of just going to go with the favorite.
Nick D.
I like the Cardinals. I don't trust either of these teams right now. I don't trust. First of all, it's amazing how good these teams were just 2 years ago. Kyler Murray versus Matt Stafford 2 years ago. They were arguably the two best teams in the NFC at this point. But both these teams aren't very good. I think the Cardinals they're a home team. They're the home team. They've been a little better with Kyler Murray back. I just trust them a little more than the Rams. I don't trust the Rams at all.
All right, so you're taking the Cardinals. Ben, go ahead.
I'm going to go Cardinals too. Kyler is 1-0 at home. Cooper Kupp's had a really off year this year. I don't know what's going on with him. And with one of your top receivers having an off year,
he's hurt.
Really kind of worries me. Yeah, he's been hurt, but he's had a couple of weeks come back, and I thought he was going to start to pop off soon, but just hasn't shown it yet. Puka Nacua has obviously been the much better receiver. I don't know. The Cardinals obviously been close in a lot of these games. Yeah, in the middle of the season, they kind of took a step back. I don't like really either of these teams, but I'm going to go Cardinals here, +1.
Zan?
Yeah, I mean, this is just another awful game, but I think right now with Kyler Murray back in the lineup and with him, getting his feet and back together and stuff, I like the Cardinals in this spot to cover and win. I just think the Rams are too inconsistent, and this bottom part of the NFC West is just unwatchable. So I'm going to go with the safe pick. Give me the home team here, and I think Kyler Murray is his best game in 2 years, and I think the Rams drop a game that they can't afford to lose, which would be disappointing considering that it looks like momentum was swayed back their way after a big win against a pretty decent Seattle team. So give me Arizona.
Tom?
So, Zan, in response to your little comparison from the last game, here's what I'm going to say. This is the kind of game where, as the patients in the hospital are waiting for their anesthesia, this is the game that's going to help pull them to sleep.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
So you're
What's going on here?
You're going a step further from my prisoner's comment. It's what you're saying.
Well, this is gonna lull people to sleep. Who needs turkey? Who needs turkey and their ingredients that put you to sleep? This is a game that's gonna really load you up with disease. I'm gonna go with the Rams on this one. Puka Nacua was mentioned as probably the best receiver of this whole bunch. Cardinals are just the absolute disappointment. I mean, the Rams are too, but you know what? They had that comeback win against Seattle. I think they can at least ride a little bit of momentum in November. I'll take the money on this one.
So I'm leaning towards the Rams. They just got their running back off the injured list. So, and they cut Henderson?
Darrell Henderson. They're hoping that Henderson will clear waivers so he can just go back.
I think he did.
I think he did clear waivers. But I think that's a big boost for the Rams having him back. Which Matt Stafford are you going to get? I'm going to ask this every week. What Matt Stafford are you going to get each week? Because what do you have? The thumb injury, I think. And he's so I'm going to lean on the Rams, but I'm not confident by any means. So I'll just lean on the Rams and take the money on that one. All right. Tom, if you can remove that banner for a second, it's now time for that time.
Oh, it's my time?
So if you would like to play it, you can put it up there if you like. It's time for Broncos country.
Oh, Russell.
Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, let's ride.
Yeah, so you're right. This is not as fun anymore.
This isn't fun anymore. And seriously, how the bleep are you letting this team constantly win? How is this team one of the hottest, if not the hottest in the NFL right now?
Well, on paper, they should be.
All right, so the game that everyone is referring to right now, it's the Browns at the Broncos. The Broncos are a 1.5 favorite at home. What?
Did we think when we started this season that these two would be arguably the two hottest teams in the NFL in late November?
Hell no. But you know what? It actually has one of my favorite broadcasting booths on it, though. Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, and Laura Oakman on the NFL on Fox. Like I said, Broncos are a 2.5 favorite. All right, since you made Mr. Broncos country over there, since you made the video, I'll let you go first. What do you think about this game?
I'm going to get to go first? Oh, nice.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'll give credit where credit's due. As much as it pains me to watch the Vikings blow it in the last minute, the Broncos are heating up. They have managed to have a offense that is really starting to produce. And they have taken on a bunch of teams where we just easily wrote the Broncos off, and they've ended up pulling off wins, including the Chiefs and the Vikings, two teams who are probably locking into playoff spots within the next few weeks. That being said, they have not faced, in my opinion, a defense like the Browns have. So remember, we talked about this actually on the Monday Night Football stream. I said the thing about the Browns is that this has been something ever since, in the aftermath of that 1-win 2016 and 0-win 2017 season, where they got all these pieces, to form a really solidable, strong, and scary defensive unit. They have had this ever since basically the Baker Mayfield era, and it's just continued on. And so I'm going to go with that defense, and I trust that defense more than I trust the Broncos. After all, I am the maker of the Broncos Country Let's Ride videos. So I go upset city, upset on the road in Mile High at Denver. Browns are winning this one.
Yeah, I'm going to follow you up on that one. And actually, you and I are going to agree again because I have the Browns as an upset. Top 3 defense in the NFL. I think Myles Garrett is the defensive player of the year right now. He's probably been the best defensive player.
He's up there, but I still have Bland with the 4 pick sixes.
No, I understand, but I feel like Garrett has been the most aggressive defensive player out there so far this year. He's winning them games. So the Broncos, I know they have the momentum. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bills. They beat the Vikings. But they got to lose at some point. Like, I know that everyone say, oh, they're playing great. They're going to have to crash at some point. And I think the Browns are too big a defense for them. So I'm taking the Browns plus 1.5.
And Nick, the thing is, if the Browns pull this off and Steelers pull it off and the Ravens lose on Sunday night, the AFC North is already interesting. That's going to make it a lot more eye-opening, a lot more, a lot more one to watch than it already is.
All right, Paul?
Yeah, I agree. And even though the Browns, they don't have Deshaun Watson the rest of the year, it really doesn't even matter. Their defense has been so amazing this season. They just have to put up, a decent amount of points, and they're able to win some of these games. I like the Browns at plus 1.5 also in this. I think the Broncos, Russell Wilson's had a much better year this year. I'll give him a lot of credit. He has had a much better year. He's been leading them to a few of these wins over the last few weeks after they got off to that rough start. But at 5-5, I still don't completely trust them. I'm not completely sure if they're a playoff team. They still have to prove a lot in order to jump into the playoff race. But I like their defense, and I feel like Wilson hasn't played against a defense like this probably since the Chiefs game. And the Chiefs defense isn't in the same category as the Browns, but just in one of the upper categories of the NFL. So I like the Browns at plus 1.5.
Nick?
I like Denver. They're one of the both teams are kind of hot right now. I don't know how much I trust. I don't know how much. You're right. The Browns defense is very good, but I don't know how much I trust the Browns without Sean Watson. Ultimately, they're on their 3rd string quarterback. I just find it a little hard to trust.
Well,
them.
I don't understand why PJ Walker's not starting.
I don't either. The point is they're essentially on their backup.
The backup
and
of the
Denver
backup
has looked pretty good lately. And they're the home team. It just so many things stack up that make me say Denver is probably going to win this. You could say either team is due for a letdown. That makes perfect sense. But Denver has been good consistently lately. The Browns really haven't. We don't really know what we're going to get with a 3rd string or backup quarterback.
Yeah, so you're taking what? You're taking the Broncos, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Ben, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I don't know why, but this kind of screams like a 17-16 type of feel. Obviously, the Browns have been a really good defense. The Broncos obviously have been playing a lot better offensively. I'm going to go Browns here at plus 1.5 because I feel like they've been just finding ways to win week in, week out with Jim Schwartz, doing really, really well over there in Cleveland. The Broncos, they beat Patrick Mahomes. The elements, I think, really played a factor in that one. They beat the Vikings, which I personally was a big fan of the Josh Dobbs hype train. He's been great, but I think it was bound to happen. And I'm not saying, obviously, the Broncos, win streak was a fluke or all, but I think that the Broncos are due for a little letdown. I'm going to go Browns here at plus 1.5.
Zan?
The Browns. Simply put, they have the better defense, and Denver's been playing really well as of late, but I just think Denver's due for a huge letdown spot, and I think the Broncos are getting Cleveland at the absolute worst time. So give me the Browns in a nice upset on the road in a game where they need to keep pace with the other teams in the AFC. So I like the Browns.
All right, let's move on to a not so great game. I think we can go through this quickly. Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, Melanie Collins on the NFL and CBS. We'll start with Paul. The Chiefs are an 8.5-point favorite on the road against the Raiders. I think I kind of know where you're leaning on this one.
Yeah, you have a pretty good idea. I mean, it's difficult because the Chiefs' offense has not been good at all this season. They've obviously we saw it in the Eagles game that with all the dropped passes, but we always play the Raiders well. I was actually honestly I was kind of going back and forth on this. I was considering Raiders plus 8.5, the Chiefs to win, but the Raiders to kind of keep it somewhat close because it's a pretty big number. But I think I want to take the Chiefs at minus 8.5. I mean, we always take care of business, and this is a get right game too. I mean, if they can't put the Raiders away, and their offense continues to struggle, then there's going to be a lot of big concerns heading into the rest of the season. So I'm going to take it for this one, but I think it's a big game for them to jump back into their old ways.
Yeah, I would smell trouble if the Raiders somehow managed to win this game. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, are the Raiders proving their worth? I mean, under Antonio Pierce, yeah, a little bit. The victory over the Giants, victory over the Jets. They managed to cover the spread against the Dolphins and came back in the second half to make that game competitive. Obviously, there's a lot of concern right now with the Chiefs, as you mentioned, with the drop passes that we saw during the Monday night stream. Yeah, so a lot of questions, but you know what? It's still the Chiefs. You know, it's still Patrick Mahomes, and it was a loss to the Eagles. Yeah, they had that loss to the Broncos. Like we said, the Broncos are a hot team. The Eagles off to one of the best starts in their NFL history. So, you know what? I still have questions about the Raiders. So, as tempting as it is to take the plus points, the Chiefs are going to win this game. But as tempted as it is to take the plus points, I'm still going to take the money on this one.
Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, this is another one of those easy picks. This is a get right game for the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs to cover the spread. I just think Aiden O'Connell in a huge spot for the Raiders. He's never faced a defense like the Kansas City's, and quite frankly, this is one of these games that Patrick Mahomes can't afford to lose. And this is one of these games where you think the Chiefs are on a downturn, but they're getting the perfect bounce back game in Vegas, and I think this is going to be a pretty easy win for Kansas City. So give me the Chiefs to win by at least 13. They'll win. They'll win the game for sure.
Yeah, I think this game, like Paul said, is definitely going to be a get-right game. If they struggle or they lose, then there's going to be a lot of questions about the Chiefs offensively and Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if you guys saw it on the sideline, but he was yelling at teammates or against players on the sideline. That was a little concerning to me because you don't see Mahomes get complacent on the sideline very often, which...
I think he had to. That's one of the issues is that he doesn't do that enough, and I feel like he hasn't once called out the wide receiver core, which I think says something to his character. But there also comes a point where he's a two-time MVP, he's a two-time Super Bowl champion. These guys just have to play better. Like you have to catch the ball, you have to secure the ball. The Eagles gave them every chance to win that game. And they ended up blowing it because from silly mistakes too. It's not like it was a lack of big plays or anything like that. It was fundamentals that cost them the game.
I'm surprised MVS can show his face around Kansas City right now, the way he dropped that football. I mean, you have to catch that football. You have to catch that football. That's the most important catch and changes your season, in my opinion, that you lost that game to the Eagles. But
I would argue that could have been the most impressive, important catch of MVS's NFL career.
If he had caught it, right. Yeah. But I'm going to take the Chiefs to cover. I agree with Paul. It's a get-right game, but there's going to be a lot of questions if they don't. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. I think that they're due for an explosion in the second half after going scoreless the last couple weeks here. They always play the Raiders really tough, like Paul mentioned, and I think they get back on track here.
Go ahead, Nick. Dave.
Yeah, the thing is, I was really thinking of taking the Raiders because you just never know. And 8.5 is a big spread. The problem is, like you all said, it does feel like a get-right game for the Chiefs. And I feel like the Chiefs could blow out almost the whole middle portion of the league. The Chiefs could easily blow out. And I feel like if I don't take the Chiefs and they end up winning by a lot, I'll end up kicking myself. I mean, I don't know. I don't trust Aiden O'Connell or the Raiders or anything like that. Just given the circumstances, I think the Chiefs should win by 2 scores or more.
Okay, so let's now we go into the primetime games, Sunday and Monday. Bills at the Eagles. Jim Nantz, Tony. What?
Yeah, this is the last Sunday for 425 game.
Oh, is it? Oh, maybe he had it mislabeled. Okay. Bills at Eagles, Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wilson on CBS. Eagles are a 3.5 point favorite at home. I'm going to take this one just because I want to have a victory lap because I was the only person who picked the Eagles against the Chiefs. And I told you that was going to happen, and I thought that the Eagles were actually were getting disrespected, and they proved it right. Now, obviously, a catch from MVS is the difference between the game, but I still don't like the Bills. What does a 32-6 win against the Jets mean? It means squat.
Nothing.
It means absolutely nothing. I'm taking the Eagles. I think this is an easy win for the Eagles. Take the money. Tom, go ahead.
This has been the Eagles. The last time we haven't had too many. I think it's only been 2 other back-to-back years where a team has started 9-1, and that was the Broncos of the late 90s and 2 of the Peyton Manning era Colts teams. And you know what happened during those times, Nick?
What?
During one of those 9-1 seasons, Broncos won one of the Super Bowls, and the Colts won one of the Super Bowls, Peyton's first. So, I mean, that prediction that prediction from the start of the season that I had, and that statement I made on Monday night is really starting to get emphasized here. But yeah, the Bills, obviously, they have the rebound game against the Jets, but the Jets are here, and the Eagles are way up here. And the Bills, I'm concerned. The Bills, I think, are a fringe top 10 team right now in the NFL. They, as the Broncos country last week said, if you looked at the better, that they are very mid. Yeah, this is easy. As much as the Eagles have had some concerns about the spread covering that we talked about, this one's easy to make. I'm going to take the Eagles.
Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles at home, this should be pretty easy, as you alluded to, too. I mean, the Bills beating the Jets does nothing for you or I, and the Eagles are simply the better team. They arguably beat the AFC juggernaut last week, and they're just going to keep it rolling. I think Josh Allen plays well, but I think he makes a fourth quarter mistake that just kills the Bills' hope of pulling off a huge upset in Philly. So give me the Eagles minus 3.5 and to win, and to obviously win outright. Easy.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I'm going with the Eagles to win minus 3.5. They're rolling right now. The Bills can't really be trusted. They're just not the same team at all this season. And I think at home in Philly too, they'll be able to handle business. So I'm definitely going to take them.
Nick D.
All right, so I'm going with the Bills plus 3.5. I think I think that you're right about the Bills and they can't be trusted and all that. But what you have to remember is that they're playing bad games against weak competition, and they tend to very much play down to their competition. But they're not really like that against good teams. They actually, I think, can play up to their competition. The Eagles are coming off an emotional win. I don't know how much I could really trust either team that much. I mean, 3.5. I mean, I would probably take the Eagles to win outright, but the 3.5, I like the Bills to be able to cover 3.5. I don't see this game being easy. I think it feels too easy. And if it feels too easy, it probably is. just because the Bills have been bad doesn't mean that they are bad or that they can't win or that they can't do anything right. They're still a talented team, and when they want to, I think they can keep up with the Eagles.
So you're taking the Bills plus?
I'm taking
plus
the Bills
points?
plus 3.5.
All right, Ben.
I'm going to go Eagles. I think that win Kansas City was massive for them. I think that's a building block for them against the Bills. I agree with Nick. I think that the Bills, play a lot better against the better teams. But the thing about the Eagles is they're very balanced and they can beat you in a lot of ways. And I think that the running attack is going to be too much in this one against the Bills defense that's lost Milano and Tre'Davious White all year. So it's helped a lot specifically for a lot of these better teams offensively to move the football. And I think that the Eagles are going to win by 7-10 points. So give me the Eagles to cover the 3.5.
All right, now let's get to the primetime games because I was looking at the sheet incorrectly. Ravens at the Chargers, Sunday Night Football. That will be, who will that be? That'll be Tirico, Jason Garrett, and Melissa Stark on NBC. This is an interesting game. You have completely different storylines going on in it. You have the Ravens, who are probably one of the best offensive teams in the league. And you have the Chargers, which are a complete joke. And Brandon Staley is 0-1 versus the media. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, although
yeah.
Nick, you also forget another storyline. Huge blow to the Ravens offense. Mark Andrews now done for the year.
Done for the year, right. I'll take this one just because, again, Tom, you and I have talked about the Chargers and how dysfunctional they are. Even though I did ETV with Nick D, and I said that I feel like Herbert and Eckler are one of the healthiest combos in the NFL. When healthy, are one of the best combos in the NFL. But I just think there's too much dysfunction. I think the Ravens are on the uptick and even higher. They're going to make a long run. I have the Ravens covering on the road. Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one because the Chargers need to get back badly, and it's in LA. This is a big game for the Ravens because a lot of people, have them as the best team in the AFC. I mean, by record wise, they are, but it's going to be a big test for them. I think that they're going to come away with it. I'm going with the Ravens at -3.5. I like their odds, especially on Sunday Night Football. I'm not completely convinced on them yet as an entire team that they're like the favorites in the AFC. I'm not too sure about that, but I think that they'll take care of business against the Chargers.
Nick D, go ahead.
So hold on a second. I definitely like the Chargers. Plus, they're getting this game is their whole season for the Chargers. Right after coming off a terrible loss against the Packers, and they're getting 3.5 points at home. And you have to remember, they're not winning these games. You're right; they're not winning most of these games. But other than the game against the Chiefs, they're all close. Okay, it's not like they're not competitive against these against good teams. I mean, they're usually coming in within like 3 points in most of their losses. All of their losses are close. And the Ravens, the Ravens are a good team, but, they do occasionally have these blunders where they just lose these games sort of inexplicably. I really like the Chargers this game. I mean, like, everything you say about the Chargers is true, but the truth is they're competitive against anybody. The only game they lost by 2 scores was the Chiefs. That's the only time. I think they can compete with pretty much any team. Getting 3.5 points at home, I'll take it.
All right, Ben.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nick here. I feel like the Chargers play better at home. That's why I went against them last weekend at Lambeau Field. I think that the Ravens are going to win, but I think that the Chargers are going to find a way to keep this really, really close. I just can't trust the coaching at the end with Brandon Staley there. So give me the Ravens to win, but the Chargers to cover.
Zan?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a brutal game of which coach is going to make the first mistake, and Brandon Staley's definitely going to do that. I think the Ravens are an absolute wagon. They're one of the best teams in the AFC. They're a perennial or potential Super Bowl favorite. I just love everything about this Ravens team. I love everything about this offense. I think Lamar Jackson is a huge day throwing and running the football. the Ravens to easily win this game and cover against the Chargers team that's meatless and total free fall. So I like the Ravens.
Tom?
As has been said, the Chargers offensively can be great, but with the defense this whole season, and especially now with Brandon Staley doing all the calls, it's just brutal. And what I see happening is I think the Chargers will make this competitive, but the game will ultimately end in another heartbreaking fourth quarter choke job. And I could very well see it that they still cover because it's a game-winning field goal from the one and only Justin Tucker. But no, I think we really need to be brutal and expect a fourth quarter Lamar Jackson touchdown to seal this one and have the Ravens cover the spread. And it's ultimately going to be a game like this. If a fourth quarter choke happens, that will further heat up Brandon Staley's seat, and in my opinion, probably seal his fate at the end of the season.
All right, so you're taking them to cover. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We made it to the final game, Monday Night Football. Bears at the Vikings. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters on ESPN. The Vikings are a 3.5 favorite at home. Zan, we'll start with you. So the Bears fan, what do you got?
Yeah, I think the Bears keep this one close. It's an NFC North divisional game. I think Justin Fields plays well, but I think again, fourth quarter mistakes are going to plague the Bears. I actually think the Vikings win this game, but the Bears cover. I just think this is one of those NFC North games where no matter how bad or how good the Vikings and Bears are, you always throw the records out when these two teams play. This game is always close, and this game will be another close addition to this rivalry. But simply put, the Vikings are the better team, and even though they did lose a week ago to Denver, even one of the hottest teams in the NFC for the several weeks, and the Bears are just slowly but surely dropping all the way down to either a first or second position in next year's draft. So it's going to be another difficult loss to stomach and another difficult loss for the Bears. So give me the Vikings to win with the Bears to cover the spread.
Ben?
I'm going to go Vikings here. I think they cover fully. The Bears obviously played tough against the Lions last week. But I think that, Kevin O'Connell obviously has done a pretty good job as of late. And I think that the Vikings respond after their loss last week against the Broncos.
Nick D?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the Vikings look like a much better team right now. It feels like a bounce back game for the Vikings. I don't trust the Bears at all. They haven't won on the road since they beat the Commanders. I don't. It's just mainly the fact that the Vikings just are way overmatched the Bears in this are just way overmatched to the Vikings, and the quarterback play is much better. It feels like an easy win.
So you have the Vikings. Okay. Paul?
Yeah, I got the Vikings too. I think that this is going to be an easy one. It'll be probably pretty close game throughout. It's not going to be a blowout, but I definitely think the Vikings are going to pull away and win by a touchdown or so.
So I'm going to make a weird comparison here because like everyone else has been making some weird comparisons. I think Joshua Dobbs is like Ryan Fitzmagic. Like he just knows the moments. Like he knows how to get into the big moments and get those points and get those touchdowns. I think what did he run? Two touchdowns in last week? Or was it just one? I can't remember. But he can get you a touchdown. Like that's what Fitzpatrick was good at. He could get you a touchdown whenever you needed a touchdown. Dobbs is the same way. The Bears are kind of a confusing team to me. And Justin Fields is just a disaster in every way, shape, or form. I don't know if he's going to be the quarterback next year. That I'm willing to throw that out there now. I just don't know. So
I think depending. Go ahead, Nick. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, that's okay. But I just think I think Fields is a disaster. So I think the Vikings will win this because I think Fields is going to throw a couple picks. Who's left? Tom.
Yeah. So obviously the loss against the Broncos was heartbreaking, but the Vikings have been on a roll ever since losing to Chiefs. And you got the Vikings pretty much in the chase, trying to get, a winning record, which looked improbable at the end of September. let alone just and the possibility of them getting a playoff spot. I think their playoff chances only dropped to about 80% after that loss to Denver. But yeah, obviously Minnesota, as you guys have been saying, they got the better team. They got the more trustworthy quarterback. They got the better offense, and the Bears are obviously, if we're gonna throw tank shots at the Giants, well, the Bears aren't gonna want us screwing up, having 2 top 4, top 5 picks in the upcoming draft. So I say, yeah, this is an easy one. Minnesota at home, take the money, skull all the way.
Oh, jeez. All right, so that's it for our picks. Now it's time to move on to the Wolf Spread picks. So let's quickly run through these. I'll give you mine, and then you guys can follow my lead. Excuse me. So obviously, I took my lock with the Niners. Now they're a half point up, so they're -7 on Wolf Spreads. Still going to take them for the favorite there. I have the Dolphins over 41. I have the Dolphins also -10. I have the Steelers -1. I have the Chiefs -9. The Eagles -3. And the Ravens -3.5. Tom, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Wasn't ready. So while I'm getting my thing up, obviously, coming off of a very bad week myself, going from, in week 10, winning the whole thing, and then week 11 becoming the first person to lose all 2,000 of the fantasy dollars. But I think I'm going to rebound a little bit, although I'm going with a little interesting kind of strategy. So first of all, I'm saving some of the money. I'm not spending all of it. I'm keeping 475 of the fantasy dollars. That's responsible gambling, ladies and gentlemen. But I am actually going to do 2 of the double bets that sometimes I do with the 2 bets in one game. I'm going to start with the one single bet, though. I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns plus 115, their money line, putting 400 of the fantasy dollars on that. The 2 double bets, one of them is going to be the Eagles. I'm doing 500 fantasy dollars on the -175 money line, and an extra 275 fantasy dollars on the -3 spread. And my other double bet is the New York Giants. I am putting 250. These are more conservative, though. The Giants ones are more conservative. I'm only going 250 of my fantasy dollars on the plus 140 money line, and a small $100 100 fantasy dollar wager on the +3 spread.
All right. Zan, what do you got?
All right, so with my Wolf Spread play, similarly to Tom, I didn't have that great of a week last week either, but here goes nothing. First play, we're taking Seattle to cover plus the 7 at home. That's 500 fantasy dollars to win 455. Next pick, we got Miami to cover the 10 against the Jets. That was pretty easy. We threw 380 on that. We're taking the under in the Falcons game for 120 to win 109. We're taking Tennessee to cover so we're going to say the Tennessee covers the spread 500 to win 455. And then actually I went the opposite way of the ETB pick on this pick. I don't know, so I'll be right in either competition, I guess, no matter how the game ends up. But I took the Jaguars over Houston 500 to win 455 at -1.5. So those are my Wolf Spread plays for week number 12.
Ben, what do you got?
Yeah, so I have 2 spreads. I have the Niners taking the -7. That's a $500 wager. I have the Dolphins at -10, which is, by the way, my lock of the week. That's also another $500 wager. And then I have the Giants under 34.5 against the Pats.
All right, Nick D, what do you got?
All right, I got the Lions -7.5, the Dolphins, which is also my lock of the week, -10, and the Chargers +3.5.
Paul?
I've got the under on Dolphins Jets at 40.5. I've also got my lock of the week, which is the 49ers at -7, and I've got the Chiefs at -8.5. that I'm taking. Those 3.
All right, so we made it to the end of week 12 of our Football Friday competition and also our picks. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. If you want to find all our podcasts and other video content that we put up there. So make sure you follow that, youtube.com/ETB Network. Make sure you go to our website, etbpodcast.com, for all our blogs and latest information and all our live streams and other things coming up as well. Also, don't forget, ETB Network NBA live stream presented by Wolf Spread, Spurs at the Warriors, November 24th. I think that's a 10:30 Eastern time game, I think. So make sure you tune into that. Paul and I will be there, and then some other guys will be there as well. Still ironing that out, but we're going to watch.
10 Eastern. 10 Eastern.
Oh, is it 10 Eastern? Okay. So 10 Eastern on Friday. So make sure you tune in. We'll get to watch Victor Wembanyama first time for a live game. So we'll get to watch that as well. So make sure you tune into that as well. And also, if you don't want to watch the video, make sure you listen to Football Friday wherever you get your podcast. Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, all platforms as well. So I guess that'll do it. So for Tom Albano, for Paul Lombardi, for Nick DiMartino, for Ben Kruse, for Zain Bando, Johnny Montalbano, I'm Nick Morgasen. We will see everybody for lucky or unlucky 13 of the NFL. We'll see everybody next week.
Happy Thanksgiving.